Something unexpected is showing up in mailboxes across the country this month. And if you're receiving Social Security benefits, your name could be on one of those letters. But here's the twist. It's not just a routine update or harmless notice. For some people, this one piece of paper could result in half of their monthly Social Security check being taken away. It's confusing, it's time sensitive, and if you don't act in time, it could directly affect how much you receive in just a few weeks. So, what's inside those letters? Who's at risk? And how do you avoid getting your benefits cut? Watch closely, because we're breaking it all down so you can protect every dollar you've earned. If you rely on monthly Social Security payments, whether it's retirement, SSDI, survivors, or spousal benefits, this message is for you. These mysterious letters aren't going to everyone, but for those who do receive them, the consequences are serious. Millions of Americans fall into the affected category, and some don't even know it yet. If you or someone you care about receives a check from Social Security, what we're covering today could make the difference between keeping your full benefit or losing half of it overnight. So, here's what you're going to walk away with by the end of this video. Who exactly is receiving these letters, what they mean, how this new garnishment rule works, and what steps you can take right now to avoid having your check slashed in half starting as early as August. If you're looking to protect your income and stay ahead of these sudden policy shifts, you'll want to hear every detail. Before we go any further, let me ask you something important. If you've ever received a confusing notice from Social Security, what did you do? Toss it aside? Open it with confusion and then put it down because it made no sense? That's exactly why so many people are caught off guard. So here's your first step. If a letter arrives, open it immediately and understand what it says. The decisions you make in response could save you thousands over the next year. Don't ignore it, and don't assume it's a mistake. We're about to explain why. Let's rewind to March 7th of this year. Social Security released a press announcement saying that, effective March 28th, it would reinstate full 100% garnishments for individuals who were flagged as having been overpaid in the past. That meant some people, who may not even have realized they were overpaid, could see their entire monthly benefit taken away until the debt was repaid. But just a few weeks later, around April 25th, something changed behind the scenes. A leaked internal memo within the Social Security Administration revealed a quiet policy shift. Instead of garnishing 100% of benefits, SSA would now limit it to 50%, giving beneficiaries a bit more breathing room. The memo wasn't shared publicly in a press release. It was circulated among staff and quietly enforced. But that change matters because it's the difference between losing everything and losing half. Unfortunately, many beneficiaries never saw this update coming. According to that internal memo, Social Security would wait 90 days after sending a notice to the affected individuals before starting the 50% garnishment. That's where we are now. April 25th plus 90 days brings us to July 24th. That's the key date when these garnishments officially begin. And for those who still haven't responded to their letter or taken any action, like filing an appeal or requesting a waiver, their benefits could be cut in half, starting with their August payment. That's not a warning, it's what's written into the policy. The 90-day deadline is hard-coded into the enforcement timeline. If you were notified after April 25th and did nothing, Social Security can and will garnish 50% of your monthly check, starting in just a few short weeks. That means some beneficiaries may check their bank balance in August and suddenly find their payment is half of what it usually is, without any further warning. Let's look at the real-world impact. Imagine living on $1,200 a month in Social Security benefits. Suddenly, $600 is gone. That could be the difference between paying rent or not. It could mean skipping groceries or missing out on necessary prescriptions. For some, it's not just a financial loss, it's a life disruption. And that's what makes this issue so urgent. But let's clear up a common misunderstanding. Not everyone is affected. SSI recipients are not included in this rule. So if you're only receiving supplemental security income, you're in the clear on this one. However, if you're receiving retirement, SSDI, survivors, or spousal benefits, and you received a notice after April 25th, you're in the group that could see garnishments begin unless you've already taken action. Also important, if you were notified before March 28th, you're likely under the 10% garnishment limit from an earlier rule. That's still a reduction, but far less damaging than 50%. Only those who received overpayment notices after March 28th fall under the tougher rules, and only those after April 25th are subject to the 50% threshold we're discussing now. So it all depends on when you were notified, not when the overpayment occurred. Now let's talk about why this is happening in the first place. Over a 7-year period, from 2015 to 2022, Social Security accidentally issued $72 billion in overpayments. That money went out to people who, in many cases, were qualified at the time, but later had their situations reassessed. Maybe income levels changed, maybe reporting was delayed, or maybe SSA simply made a mistake. But regardless of how it happened, the agency is now under enormous pressure to recover those funds. And while it might seem harsh, SSA has a fiduciary responsibility to the public to reclaim taxpayer dollars when overpayments occur. But here's where it becomes a moral issue. Many beneficiaries are being held responsible for mistakes they had no role in causing. In one case, a woman received a letter demanding nearly $70,000 due to an overpayment tied to her deceased husband. She had no idea about the issue, never received notice until now, and yet is being told she's responsible. That's the reality many Americans are now facing. So let's break it down simply. If you were notified before March 28th, your garnishment should be 10%. If you were notified between March 28th and April 25th, your garnishment may vary based on how SSA handled your case. But if your overpayment letter is dated on or after April 25th, and you've taken no action, no appeal, no waiver request, no payment plan, then starting July 24th, your benefits are eligible for 50% garnishment, with the reductions likely appearing in your August payment. And this isn't a temporary measure. Once garnishment begins, it continues until the full amount is repaid or an alternative arrangement is made. That's why now is the time to act. The earlier you respond to